So let's go ahead and start the resolution phase with Brock.
Yes.
Okay, so Brock figures out that only Scar Elves?
That natural Scar Elves, not ones that were changed to Lachey, are the only ones that can pass through his portals. So the codex he has isn't what's allowing him to do it. He basically figures out that any Scar Elf can go, but they can only go for limited times.
Only the dark Scar Elf, right?
Basically, yeah, they're Scar Elves. Basically, the army can be called the Dark Scar Elves or whatever, but any Scar Elf, can do this.
Oh, I was thinking maybe attached to the big ass laser that went through their area back.
Well, we didn't create an army for. I mean, we didn't create an order. It's an army that he created that round. So we can't make it like an order that's doing it. You gotta make it like them that's doing it if we're gonna do that. We create an order later. Maybe just connected to that beam.
Well, I was just thinking because
but those were the Lachey that got beamed, not the Scar Elves.
Well, that's what's the Scar Elves are the remnants of the Lachey originally.
Yeah. So I don't know if they were the remnants of them. We just created them over here in the acid. The round after the Age of Frost. We could say that they're a distant cousin of them or something.
They were like the refugees that finally kicked out over there. I thought.
Well, then because the Scar Elves that were in the acid area turned into Lachey again.
After the thing exploded, after all that shit happened, the third or fourth.
Yeah. So any Lachey / Scar Elves that stayed in the area after the explosion never got turned back
into Lachey, correct? And these elves can go through the portal.
If you were a Scar Elf who stayed in this area, you have some kind of attachment to this original event.
Yep. It allows you for some reason to travel on this weird prison plane that's beneath the whole.
I think it's because that's when it got pierced. It pierced the original outer layer of the
energy pierced it.
Yeah.
It's like in their DNA.
It's a combination of the Disc of Judgment meets the wild magic,
or I
imagine
magic can probably. Actually, no. Let's just.
I think you should just make it the elves, dude.
Yeah,
that's it.
Like because the Eternal were for an outer system, like they're like the outer hulls system.
Because the whole point of the prison is that things can't get out, right? Yeah. Like once they're in, unless you're like Crovexus and like Ezra's, you're affecting things outside still.
So each
layer not really doing it.
Maintenance ability by itself.
Okay. What else was there? Okay, the Hunter's Labyrinth. All right, so I'm gonna say that this bomb he sets off, it basically just fractures this whole landmass down here, dude. Just destroys this whole thing is destroyed. The entire place. Mountains crumble, giant earthquakes. It's all fucked up from this.
And remember, that was actually like really high up, so it was imploded
above the ground.
Basically, the entire labyrinth that the Yuncha created had a failsafe to blow itself up, so their technology could be preserved. I guess that's why Predator killed itself.
Yeah.
So it was basically like a giant failsafe that he set off.
So the whole thing comes collapsing back down to the surface.
I guess under the surface, probably into the ocean. Yeah, this is all submerged now, destroyed. Yep.
And Skarn will be quite dead.
Okay, the Blue Goblins. I got one for them too. Okay, so this giant psychic explosion that murders them all, it creates so much psychic turbulence and power that it reawakens procs. So all of the anamorphic oozes that were here that we said were asleep or resting or not part of the world are now erasing the world again. They're reawakened by this psychic energy from the Blue Goblins.
Nice.
So they exist again.
What about this? So this like lake over here of. Oh no, that changed.
I don't know what this is. I know all the lakes became like healing.
The Garrics. Oh yeah, so the Garrics are reawakened.
Garrics are reawakened in procs. Yeah. Because remember before we said like we never figured out if they were wandering monsters. I'm saying that they were asleep. Like they were.
Because they would. Why not? Yeah.
They were torpid, and when this psychic energy got released, and your idea for the teleportation, they turned the crystal, the Kyudin, unexpectedly because they gained the teleportation technology. And they using these their towers to bring energy to the ring. They create a Bifrost out of this crystal. So this Dragon's Eye is now a giant teleportation device that wants to figure out how to use it. It's like a giant planar gate they can use to go anywhere. It's like the Bifrost.
You're talking about the All-Seeing Eye, right?
The All-Seeing Eye is now a Bifrost, basically. Now a giant teleportation device that they have control of. Because remember, they stole the technology like around before. So now the two things powering it are these two crystals they built. So if somebody destroys these crystals or whatever, it's probably going to shut it off. I'm assuming, but that's what turned it on.
What teleports through a hole that big?
Well, they control it, right? So maybe next round they develop the technology to actually control what they want to teleport in, like another moon or like whatever. You know, it's the Bifrost, so like it could be whatever they want.
Yeah. Okay, so we got to age 5. The crust and mantle of our planet has now been ripped away.
Yeah.
At this time we're playing on a solid orb of metal with layers inside of it.
So we still have So we still have to figure out what sub races Sento and Renard both create.
Yes.
So I imagine
how his quest to find the acid dragon goes.
Yeah.
So the acid dragon plunged into the depths of ocean.
Yep.
Yes.
So that's probably where he's going to start looking from the legend.
I think he creates an aquatic race to help him find the acid dragon. And I think it's got to be the return of the salmon, dude.
Oh my god.
Because their footprint is on this world.
Because he's an anthropomorph.
Everything.
So they exist already. He finds pods of sentient but idiotic, and he brings them back to civilization.
He finds some living caviar and he reignites the salmon gene, so the true salmon return to the world.
I fucking hate that race so much.
They're back, dude.
I know.
Better than ever.
Better than ever.
I just keep trying to imagine them as anthropomorphs, and I just keep imagining like human legs and the bottom
like this giant fish head.
See, dude, I don't see them as actual salmon. I see them like pink humans, basically, like with gills. Like
and
scales.
scales.
They look like people. They look like merfolk, but instead of blue, they're pink. That's how I've always seen them since you introduced.
That's better. That's a lot better than the fish head on the stick.
I think they're more like kind of like pink, like they're Atlanteans basically. Like
what
they're
about
our version of Atlanteans?
Fish folk?
We don't have the actual fish folk. We have prawn folk that are still around.
Your fault too, John.
Yeah, your fault too. Folk. So as far as the acid dragon goes, I don't think he finds him this age. I think he's still questing for him with the salmon now to find this ancient acid dragon.
So where are the salmon back at?
They haven't built a city yet, I don't think.
Yeah, I think he just we said whenever race is created, so yeah, they have to have
well, that's when they were originally bringing him in, but maybe they hasn't. Well,
I think they settle here in Proctacao area in this rebuilt city that's already underneath the water.
Oh yeah,
it's a perfect place.
The Hawkmen are sending people down to rebuild it now too. So they
they were aligned before, like their ancestors returning.
Its own civilization. It's a race inside of another civilization's borders.
Yeah, well, they could just. I'm just saying they make the city their own. I don't think the Hawkmen are going to contest it. Like they've known them.
Also, they're still like they remember them as brothers.
Yeah, as brothers in arms, like the whole thing. So when they return, I think they'd probably allow them back with open arms. Yeah, 100,000 salmon return.
But are they the salmon or are they the salmon kai?
No, they're just salmon.
They're salmon, like the original salmon.
Yeah, I'm saying salmon, unless they lived in other spots in the world and he found them and brought them back.
However you want to say he does it, whether he did it by creating them.
The original salmon gone a long time ago?
No, they survived all the way to when the Hawkmen killed them, basically.
I thought they started merging with the...
They did. They merged with them. So that's why they don't exist anymore.
Or is this one of the merged ones?
No. These are the original salmon race.
The Hawkmen wouldn't recognize those folk.
No, but through teachings and your civilization, they know they exist. They aligned with them before they combined. The Hawkmen came before the combination, if you remember. The Hawkmen came into the world before the combination, and were helping them protect the wall.
I thought it was after the combo. My bad.
Then when we combined them, we said instead of them killing each other, their societies just intertwined and made half and half creatures. Basically, they made Hawkmen that could go into the water and shit, and they have pinkish feathers and all this other shit. We said. Like they exist before. So he found either remnants, like I said, or created them somehow, however you want to say.
He probably found a giant nest of eggs.
Yeah, and he brought them, he made them again, so they exist.
Yeah. Oh, no, I just thought that the combo between the monster and salmon happened before the Hawkmen showed up on the plane.
No, what
No.
happened was certain
The Hawkmen
salmon,
came onto the plane.
certain salmon became infused with Kayadun, and then the ones that didn't die were crazy monsters in the sea, and then somebody
Yeah.
gave them sentience. I believe Crovexus gave them sentience. So then they
Yes.
create a race of sentient Kayas.
Because there's
Kaiju.
still monstrous
called kaiju.
There's still monstrous kaijus in the water.
There are, yes, but
They're
these are
just
the ones.
they're just monsters.
But the Kayadun are like half kaiju, basically is what they are.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So now, Sento, what race does he create as a troglodyte before he gets annihilated?
Before he gets blown to shit.
Oh, fuck, dude. We just lost a lot of avatars. Like,
What if he makes his specialization was like explosives and shit, right?
explosives and like subrace stuff, like and like get down on the ground and shit.
Subterranean.
Subterranean, yeah. How about he does something with the Eternals?
That's what I was thinking with the dwarves.
Yeah,
Like maybe he makes a subrace of them that like specialize in the things that he did.
how about the Durgers?
I like Durger. Durger's a good idea. Our version of
Mm.
Durger.
Yeah,
Ooh. What if the version of Durger had troglodyte aspects,
oh yeah,
like but it's a scaled creature,
it's like a scaled dwarf.
like a scaled dwarf?
Yeah, like instead of enlarge, they have like a spell that blows shit up or something. Like they can cast like glypha runes, like exploding runes.
Yeah,
Like Glyph of Warden or something, as like naturally they just make explosions.
Yeah, instead of proficiencies with like artisans related stuff, the race would be more about like
Tinker tools, yeah, for
Tinker
explosions
tools.
and shit. Yeah, crafting. Yeah,
All
that's a good
right.
idea. Yeah, so they specialize in like bringing down walls and shit like that. Like their whole race.
So we have then Sento. So Sento and blah, I just lost his name. The blue one, who's Waka
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 Flocka.
Flocka.
Yeah, Waka Flocka Flame, boy.
Waka Flocka Flame.
Right.
So Waka
They're
Waka
dead.
Flock
Waka
and Sento are both destroyed.
All right, and I have a little bit of
Well, not
resolution.
Sento, Skarn.
A
nuclear-
revolution for this alien vegetation here. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was making a joke. I said, did Waka Flock die from the Kira like explosion?
Yes.
Yeah, no, that was
Well, I
Yes,
mean, you could say he went to a higher plane and awoke all of the original psychic
Yes.
creatures. So technically, he birthed the race again, I guess, by
Yeah.
killing himself.
I wonder how Corvexus is like. Oh
How
shit.
How often do you see a blue goblin?
Well, that's the
Goblin?
thing.
What's up for them goblins?
See, Corvexus and Ezra still think that they're doing all this shit. So somehow they think. See, we don't have to say what they do anymore because now you
Yeah.
just assume that everything is happening. They think they're doing it,
Yeah.
even though technically speaking, they're not doing shit.
No.
On their little
Yeah.
plane of existence, they think they are. That's interesting, but yeah. I don't. This island here, I had the thought that it starts to wildly expand. So before the end of the age, it's like tripled in size. So
Oh,
this alien growth is starting to become less of a blessing, and it seems to be becoming more of a problem.
I have a question.
Yep.
Instead of it as like a landmass, its growth, it's so thick and big, it becomes like a landmass, but it isn't actually like dirt and soil landmass. So it's like layers and layers of xenobiology that are growing further and further off of each other.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's like a monster basically, and it's absorbing the water and becoming just like bigger and bigger, like a giant super tentacled plant.
Yeah, like it becomes more and more viney, and the vines spread further and further out.
Yeah, and the stuff on it's becoming weirder and weirder. Like the fruit is becoming like all psychedelic colors, and
How about like
I mean-
it's actually more like Farplane style, like stuff.
Absurd.
I'm thinking more like H.P. Lovecraft, like
Yeah, like very Farplane-ish.
the color of space. Like it's a big,
And tentacles and shit are starting to come out like pseudo natural things.
yeah, but they're not tentacles. They look like plants still. So like
Yeah,
John's
like
it's like
but they're-
vines basically, like thick, meaty vines. Maybe even Venus flytrap mouths, weird flower blooms, weird things that look like edible fruit. Like it's this weird thing that's growing.
Kill things.
Yeah, maybe they don't know. Like they think you can eat it, right? We've established that you can eat it.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, the other vegetation in the entire world from it is starting to do the same thing. It's
Oh,
not becoming it's not absorbing people, but it's getting bigger. So
Oh,
like
yeah.
the first harvest was double. This harvest is like quadrupled.
You're like,
it's
oh
more
shit.
and more.
I was just thinking about the
What?
first Hawkman that takes a stroll around the sky north of it and gets eaten by a flower.
Yeah, that'd be dope, dude. Like
Also,
like they're on patrol,
like Little Shop of Horrors.
like Little Shop of Horrors, and they just get sucked up. So in Microscope, it's like a story of like a patrol of Hawkmen, and like they encounter it and they die, and nobody knows about it because they all fucking died. So we know, and the audience knows, but none of the rest of the races know yet.
Let's see. I don't want Kurgan to be able to pull like other stuff. Like definitely, maybe I think the trying to pull the Plane of Shadow into the material realm. We can save that for the end of round 8. That might be something to deal with some kind of cataclysm event.
Ooh.
I think
I-
that'd be.
Just
That's
now.
going to take a while.
Like
Um,
there were areas of Twilight all over the map, right? From where
yes.
spots dropped.
It creates more, or they expand.
Well, no.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it does a thinning of the veil there, so things can step through and fuck with localities and local races and civs, like the plains.
So the areas of Twilight are becoming like minor portals to the Plane of Shadow.
and Shadow.
Yeah. So what this portal really was just part of the subterranean prison that somebody found a way into. So it's another door. So apparently the Coatl could also pass through, not just the Scar Elves.
Yeah.
Apparently the Coatl could also pass through these gates because
Malpheus. Yeah.
went in here and never came back out.
Yeah.
Canella.
So are we going to say then the Dhampir are also part of something that can go through the gates? They haven't gone. They haven't gone in yet, though, right? They haven't
gone in
discovered
yet. No, they've only been into the Shadow World. They're
Well,
not
that's what I'm
actually
saying.
going
That's
into.
what I'm saying. It's not the shadow world. It's just that shadow level. It's that shadow part of the prison.
Okay.
They think
shit.
they think it's the shadow world, but it's not. It's just
Well, then yeah, they don't know why they can, but they don't understand. They have no clue.
they have no clue what it is yet. Yeah, but apparently
Yeah.
they can go in too. So that's 2 more races that can pierce.
Say
these
that
walls.
every interaction with another plane so far on this
Part of the prison world. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
its own prison world plane.
Part of this giant prison world, which is just a collection of planes, basically, where things get put when they die. So Malpheus didn't die. It went into the world and never came back out. Whereas Barak is smart enough to know I shouldn't stay in here, and he keeps coming back out when he goes into these places. So we got to figure out what happened to Malpheus too, because because unlike the other avatars, they basically met kind of deaths or pure ascension before they went in there, and he didn't.
Yeah.
So
he
I
could.
think, I was actually thinking about bringing Malpheus back, but probably next round.
good. Then
But-
yeah, he should be fucked up. We got to do something with him, dude, where he comes back out of there and like something's wrong, or he
Oh, yeah.
knows. Maybe he knows, and he tries to convince everybody else, like, oh no,
Yeah,
this is bad.
he's
Like,
kind of
oh,
like like a Deadpool. He's like, we're on a
Yeah.
comic.
So once he went into the shadow plane, he wanted to find the source of the power in the plane, and
Yeah.
upon trying to find it, is how he discovered that it's a false plane.
Because remember, it was shadow,
Plane.
but it was like remember we made it like a mental thing. Like it wasn't
Yeah.
shadow, like shadows. It was like shadows in your mind, like whispers,
Yeah.
like madness. So this thing that's opening up, it's not even shadow. They think it is, but it's something else. So the shadows they're seeing maybe even aren't even shadows. It's just their minds being fucked with by whatever is in there.
Well, no, I mean is he looks for the source of the power of the plane, and the
Why
plane
he's in there? Yeah, maybe.
it's not sourced. The power of the plane isn't sourced from inside the plane, and he's like, that's not possible. That's not how this realm would work.
Well, he wouldn't necessarily know it's a prison plane yet either. Maybe he does after he comes out.
That's
So
what I'm
he
saying.
realized what it is. Yeah, but he would be complete. We have to make him completely mad, though. I think when he comes out.
Yeah,
He's
no,
gotta
yeah, he'd be
completely
Malpheus
crazy.
and mad.
Yeah, he's got to be completely crazy.
Which is really funny because I took the name from Malpheus from like the name of the realm that the worm is in Werewolf the Apocalypse, and it's a level of madness, so it kind of works out really well.
I made an order of Malkavians, didn't I? Or a race of
Yeah.
the Dampier that were going crazy too? Because
Yes.
remember, we tied them
They-
to psychic
They had
network.
their own Malkov network.
So then
Yes.
there's a set, so there's that order that was studying the shadows, and then you made another order that's attempting to open the gate. So
Yeah.
there's 2 different kind of Malkavians we have now too.
Yeah.
And we have a subrace of Dampiers that control shadows themselves. And
Yep.
they're probably the ones that are going to realize that this shadow plane isn't a shadow plane.
Yep.
Because they control shadows. They're like, bro, there's no shadows here. You
It-
guys are
this-
just seeing,
yeah,
you
what are
guys
you
are
guys?
going crazy.
Yeah, what are you guys fucking with?
What are you fucking talking about?
Oh god.
I like it.
I
dude.
think we definitely want to tear into that next time.
Yeah, for sure.
I think we definitely need to resolution wise probably 7 or 8. I think honestly a lot of that's going to come into a head on 8 when we end this age and go to age 3 with the Cataclysm.
So what else do we have for resolution?
the
Oh,
horde is destroyed. So the Great Horde
We've only
has
done one
basically
round. That's how
met
long
its,
resolution's
met
been.
its end, right?
yeah, the Great Horde's destroyed.
Great Horde
completely.
pretty much destroyed. The only ones that are really left are the Trogs, because they're at the
Fractures.
mainly at the Scar. Yeah. So these cities would fall. These cities become ruins now.
Are they
Yeah.
ruins or do local race folk take it over?
Well,
Like,
yeah, but they're not going to be kept to the same standard
Yeah,
they
they're
were
not.
before.
They're like when whatchamacallit, when the Babylonia destroyed all those Syrian cities. Like there's just these giant things that no one knows where the fuck they came from.
Yeah.
500 years later.
Like
Y'all-
someone's going to eventually take Skarn's luxurious palace area, but they're
Yeah.
not going to maintain it so well. Oh
Yeah.
God, what are we doing with Kuzis?
well, I was just thinking
Jesus.
most
The-
of this.
Well, he fulfilled what he wanted to do, right? I mean, I think
So
he
he-
just,
He goes. He
you know, he goes back to Bond. He goes back to Bond with the thing that his progenitor, the thing that made him.
He
He goes
tried
back to
find
the
it.
acid dragon.
Oh yeah.
does
Goes
he know
into
where-
the sea. Well, maybe that's how they find him. So he
Uh,
searches. So we end his round with him searching for his creator, so he can have
Or
rest.
or do we want to say that he burned off so much energy that he actually goes back to the prison plane?
We could say that too, whichever guys you want. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. Either way, he's basically done this round.
Yeah, I think that's a fitting ending. I think he came. He was mad. He burned all of his avatar energy, and he is done.
And he's done.
think-
So there is no more
Yeah.
Kazus in this realm anymore.
I like the idea of there being no more Kazus, but I also like the idea of that happening by him finding
The
his
dragon,
progenitor, being
yeah,
like,
and eating him again.
I need rest. I am done.
That's why I thought it would be fitting. Like he ends.
Yeah,
the
he
way
finds the acid dragon and allows it to consume him.
So we could say he finds the acid dragon, and the Salmon and Renard basically follow him to where the acid dragon is. So they find it next round.
Okay.
Okay, but they don't find it this round. They just follow him to his death. They witness his demise, his reinsertion into the great dragon of acid,
All right.
his absorption. Okay, the Reef Elves, are they successful in their resistance of the Star Metal Elves, which are now?
I don't know, man. That
Reef.
fucking that star shit's terrible.
How about this? I'll give you a 12% roll that they create a genetic anomaly in their race that allows them to be immune to the effects of the star metal.
So 1 to 12.
1 to
I have
12.
100.
Yep.
All right.
Because immunities are rare mutations.
Nope. 63%.
So are they destroyed or are they absorbed?
That's the same thing it does with the Maka. But the Maka were only disfigured horribly because of the Slod chaos.
Yeah,
no.
they're basically just metal elves, basically.
Yeah,
They're
pretty much
Yeah.
metal elves.
metal underwater elves. Okay, but they're no longer
Wait.
now star metal.
They're metal
Yeah.
underwater elves.
So then they're the star elves.
They're
So,
the most metal of all elves.
so the
They are
elves
the most metal.
just sink. And they
And
just
this whole
get
reef.
on the bottom.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Um,
say that this whole reef was already getting absorbed by the star metal we said before. So now this whole thing is just star metal. It's just absorbed this whole
Real
thing.
quick.
Turned.
They don't swim. They're aquatic because they can breathe underwater, but they're too heavy to swim. They just walk around everywhere. They build stairs. They have to have stairs to get up.
I think they could. I think their locomotion would be unaffected by their weight. Otherwise, they would just be stones. Like they would just be
Exactly, that's
statues stuck. So I'm pretty sure they learn how to move.
But
or-
imagine how strong they would be on the surface.
Well, they definitely. I mean, you could do that anyway. That's how like Atlanteans work in Marvel. Like they're stronger on the surface because they have to get so strong to build the pressure of the
Water.
ocean. Yeah. So when you can say that they're super strong. They definitely would be. They're also metal. They're Colossus combined with Namor the Submariner. That's like
Yeah.
what they basically are. Because they're not just metal, dude. They're solid metal. All their organs are metal. All the muscles are metal. Their skin is metal. Their blood, all of it is metal.
I
Because it's that living metal.
They're
think it's
living metal.
hilarious if they couldn't swim, though.
Yeah,
think
but
fucking.
I mean, they just move. Like I don't know. Maybe I think they could swim. I'm pretty sure if you could breathe underwater, you'd be able to move underwater. So basically,
Hey,
you swim.
so probably another resolution thing here. How
yeah.
about the Star Elves begin trying to bring the former metal island up to the surface?
Try to bring it back up
One
above
down.
water. Their
Yeah,
floating island before they reactivate their anti-gravity shit, so the
Yes.
motherfucker begins to float again.
yeah,
And as a consequence of this, it also draws up the reef because it's embedded in the reef now.
yes.
Dope.
So
It's a giant metal island with a big ass metal peninsula attached to it.
poor Steve is going to hate writing this shit up eventually. Like, we're going to have to like go in there and like annotate, like draw in, like circle, and
Goes here. Okay, so what else is left on the resolution table?
I think that's it. God damn, I think that's it.
Yeah, we got the
Okay.
teleportation points that Laser Main created by figuring out these things, right? He built his amphitheater. Okay, so after he builds his council, his amphitheater, his UN,
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna say that he invites delegates of other races here. So I think during the resolution they should have their first meeting.
Okay.
So you got
The-
the Hawkmen, right? For sure. The Trogs.
And we need to pick one race that the Slod chooses to put at some advantage. If they control a majority of the council, they would pick the direction.
Well, that's easy. They just send their avatar, who's already a defender of everything. He's one of the greatest defenders. He's part of the Brotherhood of the Pale, so he is their representative at this UN.
Oh no! I'm saying the Slod would probably have multiple people on the council. That
Yeah, but he's going to be the one that becomes the head senator or whatever.
Palpatine.
Whisper Letty, yeah, they're Palpatine. So if they have a majority, that means they've infiltrated. What? How many races do we have?
We have the Aractonians they've infiltrated.
And Ezra's is in the prison plane now, right?
Yeah, but he doesn't. Well, yeah, but he doesn't realize it. That they don't realize that they're in there. Just for some reason, they
Like
think they're
Ezra
still
and
able to attack.
Corvexis can still go about this plane. Like they're not stuck in the other one.
They're not stuck, but I'm saying they are. They just don't know that they
don't
are.
realize it's
Like
not.
their essence is the only thing in this plane.
Right. So basically,
Okay.
to them and to all outside viewers, if you ever saw Ezra or Corvexis, you would think they were outside, but they're not. They're just like manifestations. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As far as
They're just-
as far as the game goes, we can still do stuff with them, but we just realize as narrators that they're not actually doing anything. Whatever is holding them there is what's doing everything or allowing them to do things. If they are, do you get what I'm saying? It's like a giant joke.
Yeah. So do they basically do they make Whisper like the leader of the High Council?
Probably. They probably have something to do with it in their minds for sure. If not him, they at least put people in there that would support him. Like even if they're not other SLAD members,
Yeah.
they could be bribed, things like that.
I mean, he seems like a good guy,
Oh,
Well,
Letty? To everybody else he does, yeah.
Yeah.
I assume the council would be made up of multiple races across.
Yes.
That's what I said. They send a representative. So like the Meerkat folk, the
Yeah.
Ractonians,
But
the
see, like,
Cara Dune.
Meerkat folk definitely have a Slot infiltrator in there
for sure.
all throughout their hierarchy.
The Kaya Dune probably have one too.
Yeah. I would say
the only ones that might not have one are the Salmon that just
The Salmon and
reappeared.
probably the Star Elves.
Star Elves don't have one. The Salmon don't have one. Who else did we make? We made another race, right?
the new kobolds, but I don't know if
The Durger.
the
The
Durger.
Durger don't have one, and neither do the Mud Methods we made. We made a race with the Animorphs, so their race doesn't have one either. Wouldn't have an infiltrator. So there's still four four races that are clean.
It's like
The Garrics. Oh god, the Garrics are showing back up.
fine,
The
'cause
Garrics wouldn't be controlled by them yet. Although
Fuck no.
the Garrics exist in a different world, but they haven't been here long enough. They definitely wouldn't have one. The Meerkat would by now. They've been here for years and years.
too. Like just because the Kaidun Civ came on the tail end of the Slod Fallout, right? What
Yeah,
about
but they've been here the whole time though.
got to be super full of them too, right? Because they're like right around the way. And the Ractonians came a lot later though. But
Oh, we got to do something with Master of Storms too. He didn't do anything during the last resolution. Okay, so since they're humans, his power. I had this idea where his power gets passed down through his children and through his children's children. So they have like a bloodline of these people who can control storms.
All right.
Iractonia. Whether we make him a king or like a magi, like a person who counsels the king or something, his bloodline still exists, even though he's more than likely dead. Because how many they're human? How long has it been?
I think we're saying this what 200 to 300 years each.
Yeah. Okay. So he's definitely dead. However, he died. He's gone.
Yeah.
But his ancestor is probably who they send from Ractonian. Now, do you want his ancestor who has this power to be a Slad?
No.
I'd say no. I think he should be like some kind of.
Well,
I think the runes protect him for some reason. He doesn't.
Maybe,
he could join. It's not. Yeah, it's not like they're. Yeah. It's a philosophy, not a we're like taking you over thing. It's a philosophy now.
I had this idea too that they all have these symbols, right? Like they have like 12 different symbols on them. But when one's born, and they're not always born, you have to wait for one of the people in the bloodline to be born. And when they're born, it's a different symbol every time that's activated on them. So this one either has the acid dragon, the ice dragon, the sun dragon, or the
something from the
sound dragon or the tear.
Right.
It has one of these. It has one of these dragons as a symbol. We got to decide which one that is too. If you want to roll it randomly, it's one of them though.
So
I think we'll roll if it comes into play. That's what I'm thinking.
Bloodline thing, right? As far as storm control, whatever the ability is, like the controlling storms, I think that the like there should be some kind of prophetic thing with it where it's like, oh, every so many generations is actually somebody of power, but like of the originator of that first, Master of Storms.
I mean, I think they should have one every generation. I just don't think it should always be like it won't always be the king's son. Like maybe it'll be like the prince's brother. That do you see what I'm saying? It is.
Yeah.
And we could say that like maybe every full cycle, one's born with the original power. Maybe maybe we say that the storm is like the most powerful
of them.
Yeah.
And then
so every so many generations, that one's born. And like just because you have this power doesn't mean you know how to use it, or it doesn't mean you can control them.
You have to be trained. Or
if you reach if you're a character and you reach 20th level or something, maybe it unlocks then or something like that. Or if you do a quest. But I do think they should all have like tiny abilities. Like maybe they have an ability to cast like
just saying like the
Ray of Frost or something like that. If
the little cantrips.
Power only comes so often. And the baseline.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying like
they're not all super powerful. No.
Super world worth of storm.
Yeah.
Is more of a blue moon through the cycle or in time. Another thing is the original Avatar, whatever, was just like some rural fuck off family Jesus type story where it was just some born with the prophetic symbols on them. But you said King's son, and that makes me think how cool it could be throughout their history if because of the storm ending process they made him a king.
Yeah, I was saying king is like the easy choice, but we could also make him like a Merlin. Like they're literal like permanent advisors, like Magi were in Egypt.
Trusted family.
Trusted permanent advisors to the royal family.
Yeah.
Or we can make him king. King's a little more, I mean, it's expected basically. If he was different, then it would be a little different.
Well, if he did a suzerain, where it was just like somebody who was an advisor,
we could say he took the kingdom. Like one of them wasn't
sure originally.
Yeah, one was evil and then took control of the kingdom, and now they
or the king was just so damn ignorant And he was like, "For the greater good, I have to."
See, I like the idea better that they took control because then maybe that one Stormmaster was a Slod, but his ancestor who's in control now is not one. Like he stepped away from that side of it and became good again. But somewhere in this
Nice.
timeline of Ractonians, there was Slod infiltrators.
Oh,
I'm
there
sure
was-
there was.
Some may still exist, but they just don't have the mark.
I don't even know if they could be like infiltrators so much as at this point in time with how close they are in proximity for how many hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. There's
Yeah.
probably folklore about this.
Maybe I said infiltrator as like a like because that's how they were before. Like in the first age, they were made an army of infiltrators. This is
And
like what's basically left of all that.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. It's like it's a cultural beliefs now. Like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Slod are known.
But it's it's a culture of beliefs, but it's actually rooted in an actual thing that existed. That's what's so cool about it. It's rooted in an actual army that existed 2,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Who people share genetic material with.
Right?
But
Like
a lot of people-
Genghis Khan controlling the world basically through his genetics. It's
Yeah.
like that.
I like it.
So you could be part true Slod basically somewhere in your bloodline. Like so
Yeah.
if we ever made it up in a game system, you could do shit like that. Like it could be like our version of midichlorians basically or whatever.
It's like a latent bot. It's like a latent. Yeah,
Like
latent.
a latent thing inside of you. Or you
Yeah.
could be a guy who just joined, his dad just joined.
Is on the outside of this world. And I was thinking about that too. So like there's this idea where okay, so what do you try to do if you're keeping in prison? You need to keep order because after order breaks down, everything else
Yeah.
breaks down. So what if there was some kind of device or mechanism that repelled chaos energies from the prison stages back to this outside layer? And that explains why it's always tumultuous. The Slod came and all their concentration of chaotic energy, but any of it that was going this way just came right back up to the surface world.
Yeah.
Which caused all
'Cause
the
this world's a shitstorm. Let's be honest.
chaos.
So
Yeah.
if you're writing in the lines of the spreadsheet, you can just write that they create the council and send one over from each, but the Slod infiltrators control a majority
Yeah.
of the council.
Like to put it in perspective, an entire race came here just trying to help balance order.
And
Not
turned
only
evil. And turned evil and chaotic. Yeah.
turned evil and fungi took over them and like the list just goes on.
Well, first they went full lawful neutral and just tried to blow up anybody who didn't share their ideals. And,
Yeah.
and then they fucked themselves and became taken over by zombie fungus. They still exist.
Arbiter.
Yeah. They had a rough time. They're like, we're just going to eat these fungus. It'll be easy. And then shit turned bad. So
Also, is this Meerkat folk area now they've been absorbing all these undead? Is this like a necropolis now? This whole southern area is just like a giant undead wasteland? Is that what this is now?
I would think so.
I mean,
would
it's been
say
600 years of them collecting undead.
Yeah,
The-
no, that whole area is not fun.
I was gonna say probably like 5 or 6 square hexes is nothing but actual necropolis, and then the rest of it's just desolate wasteland with undead.
And
dispersed.
do they trade with the undead and shit too? Are there
There's
gotta
gotta
be
be sentient one out there.
undead here, right? Yeah.
I'm sure there's sentient undead.
Use them as labor?
Labor, or they have like use them as shock. I mean, they could do all kinds of stuff, dude.
No, I
They
know.
use them-
I'm just thinking like you go through, you're walking down the way, and you off to the right, you see a mercat folk, and then he's got a plow being hauled by like 3 zombie.
Yeah, it
And
has
there's like meat hanging in front of them, so they're like scrambling for it, and he's just
yeah,
plowing the
is
field.
it like the end of Shaun of the Dead where like some of them just live with them in the cities and they're like citizens still? They give them
Yeah.
jobs they can do because they're too dumb to do anything else.
Yeah, and guess who they were? A lot of
What?
the tiger.
The tiger people, yeah, it's the slavery continues even in death, bro.
even in
Fuck
death.
them.
Yes, we
But
keep our
in death, for some reason, they respected them more as undead tiger folk they did when they were alive.
They do.
So
Yeah,
they
that's it.
get more rights as
Right.
undead. That's fucked up, dude.
That's fucked up.
So fucked up, dude. But yeah, so I'm thinking maybe like kids use them too. Like they probably use them to train their army. And
Beat on
probably
the zombies.
to be these meerkat folk, they might even revere them in some way. Because for them, since they respect undeath so much, maybe their ultimate end is to become undead. So if you become undead, you've completely fulfilled your purpose to the society.
So
Like that's what you're trying to do.
these sick fucks think they've done the tiger folk a favor
Yep.
by making them undead.
That's why they treat them so much better because they kind of revere them now. They've
Yeah,
got
because
to
they
take
were
the
lesser
ultimate-
in life than they are in
Yep.
death.
They got to take the ultimate ride, the ultimate
They,
sacrifice. the
they
ultimate
were
thing.
blessed first.
So they've become basically the polar opposites of the Kaya Dune, then
So
for sure.
they basically have.
And that's going to be another struggle.
Yeah.
Do you
So-
understand how much crazy shit later generations are going to have to find? We're going to hit, we'll explore, and some like find an old dungeon. I'm like, ooh, I know which one.
You mean when they find a dungeon on top of a dungeon on top of a dungeon? Yeah, that's gonna be nice.
So is this low key why the Egyptians had cats that
This is
that
exactly
protected the
like-
undead because the Meerkat folk were like the original necromancers? So
what I'm saying.
cats represent power over death.